Saima, where the ages of time, soul, and energy converge. Tonight, we are joined by Darlene Van de Grift, a medical intrusive, multidimensional mediator, and timeline architect with over 35 years of experience guiding others through the unseen layers of healing, from cellular intuition to soul timelines. This conversation will expand your idea of what healing truly is. So, open your heart and get ready to travel across dimensions. Darlene, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here today.
So am I. You're warmly welcome. So, Darlene, you have such a powerful and unique combination of gifts. Now, for those new to your work, how do medical intuition, multidimensional mediation, and time and architecture work together in the healing process?
Well, there's so many levels of us. So we have our mental, our physical, emotional, spiritual levels and dimensions. And
Mhm.
in that place, when you, as a medical intuitive, a lot of times people will call because they want to find out, what might be going on with their body that can't be diagnosed or is not diagnosed in the medical field. And because our bodies carry our DNA, carries through the body, it carries our dimensions, it carries our past lives, it carries all of that, and our genetics. So starting with the organs and finding out, what issues are inhibited or stored in the organs in the body, and how what needs to be healed, whether that is in some form of therapy or acupuncture or, however the body shows up. Because when I'm working, I'm tuning into not only your innate wisdom, which is your body level, but also your guidance system. And so what is needed for the physical body, but then that moves into all the other, because we are a unit, we're not separate. So once the body is addressed and brought forward of, what it needs to heal, then we move into, is there blockages? Are there blockages within the energy body or in this spiritual body? Sometimes that goes into past lives or genetics of where's the original cause of, could be a symptom that they bring in, that's a physical symptom, a physical issue that they're bringing in, or it could be something that they're having a relationship issue, they're having a marriage problem, something with their children, their career. It can go in any number of places, but what I primarily look for is what are the timelines or the past lives, the issues that have gotten brought forward in this lifetime so that they can clear them.
That was a fair overview. It's fascinating how these modalities weave together, right?
Yeah, they all, because we're one unit. So once you open that door for conversation with the innate wisdom and the guidance system, it's like tapping into a resource, right? You're tapping into the body's wisdom and knowledge through the ages. And so it can go in many different places to bring the body into wholeness. And wholeness is not just physical. It's how do you bring your spiritual body in? How do you bring your emotional, mental body in, so that they all start to work together?
Hmm? So when someone steps into a session with you, so what kind of shifts or revelations do they typically experience first?
Well, what I can say in working with timelines, so there's, say they're bringing in an issue about relationship and they want to understand why they keep attracting the same kind of person. We track it back to this lifetime, and then if there's any other lifetimes attached to it, but there's the behavior that comes up. So it's like opening a door, opening a portal through the conversation. And so the portal is open. The the universe is very reciprocal. So if they're giving us information, if I'm getting information from their guide, from the person's guidance system, then what happens is, as I'm getting that information, the flow is already started. So it's like we're in that constant flow of, okay, here's the past life that's coming up. This is who you were. This is who your relationship is, or maybe not even them, but this is what started this pattern for you. And here's some things that you can do to remove the pattern. Here's how you can address it. We're already in the flow because the portal is open. So what needs to happen, and that means that that figure eight or that reciprocation from the field is already in flow. The person, whoever I'm talking to, that client, that person needs to seal the deal, meaning that, it needs to be coming from them. It just can't come from me to open the portal and have the discussion and have them feel it, see it, relate to it. They have to do the work in order to complete it, right? Otherwise, it's me doing it for them and they need to do it. So it's that place of what I find on a regular basis is that when you heal, when you go in, when you visualize or meditate on or do whatever comes up through their innate wisdom and guidance for that lifetime, when you address that in whatever way that it comes up to address it, something changes. Well, you heal that timeline, first of all. You're not just looking at it, you're healing it. And when you heal it, your life changes here because there's no separation. There's no separation from that timeline or 10 lifetimes before this and this one. It's just that this lifetime happens to bring in maybe one or two of your 100 timelines, right? On certain subjects. So it's that when you complete it there, something changes here because there is no time differentiation.
It's incredible how your work touches not just the physical but the energetic imprint of a person's. And
Yeah, it first you unravel it by understanding it, diving deep to understand the dynamics of what created what, whatever the person's bringing in. And then you put it together. And sometimes it takes a little while to put it together. And sometimes it moves within the session because the person's aligned, everything's aligned, and they're doing a visual that takes, 5-10 minutes rather than just homework. So it really depends on where the person is in their own journey and how much intention and where they are aligned with moving something in that moment, or do they have to do something on their own?
now you describe yourself as a timeline architect. That's such a fascinating concept, no doubt. So can we consciously choose to shift our timeline, and if so, what's the first step?
How do we shift our timelines? Well, first of all, I think it's knowing it's the same as inner child work, but you'd be working in a different dimension. So in an inner child work, you track, well, I have this belief, I have this pattern, I have this, blockage that I keep running into in my adult life. And so let's track, or where did that come from? And you can think about that. If you have anger issues, where did they come from? Is it your mother, your father, your teacher, your brother, your sister? Where did it come from? Resolve that, address it, take a look at it. It might not even be yours, right? So there's processes that you can do, the goodbye process, the Ho'opono process. A lot of them that what just gets the energy moving so that you can step away from it, so that you don't have to own it, you don't have to become it anymore. That would be a way that I would start with people. Journaling is good. If you don't like something about yourself, track it. Say where, go into meditation if that's something that you do. And meditation is really the key for a lot of people to get quiet, even if it's for 3 minutes a day, to just allow yourself to get quiet, not think, move into that place, because that's where you really can get some information from your guidance, from your body. When you tap into it, when you give it enough space, that you can feel something different as opposed to the busyness that we keep ourselves in.
Mm. That's such an empowering idea, darling. Like that we are not trapped by fate, but invited to, to co-create a path forward, right?
Yeah, you're in a co-creation process because we see our guidance system or even our bodies as separate. You know, um, there's people that do take care of their physical body, and sometimes it's obsessive. But our bodies, and this is another thing that I find in working with people, if you've had a lot of abuse or you've had a lot of surgeries or you've had accidents or what happens as you get older, that creates a division and your body starts to rebel or you'll become more allergic. You'll have more sensitivities. You won't feel well. You can't take supplements or, because your body doesn't adjust to them, takes them for 2 days and then you feel sick taking them. These are all places, these are all symptoms of the body had enough, right? It had enough of whatever has happened to it, and it doesn't trust you and your decisions. Even if you felt like you didn't make these decisions, they were done to you. So, what I suggest to people is that Ho'oponopono, which is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. And doing that with the ages that you've had surgery and accidents and abuse. And it just resonates with, and it's to the body. It's not necessarily to the emotional level, it's to the body. I'm sorry that you had to have your tonsils out, and that must have been really painful, and you cried a lot, and I'm really sorry that it hurt. It's like you really relate to your body in a very different way that we don't normally think about. It was like, oh, it's the body. Yeah, I had to go in for surgery. I had a back surgery, or I fell down the steps when I was 5, but those things become accumulative in the body.
And I, myself is really drawn to that whole phono process. It's really, like so overwhelming.
It is, it was designed originally for karma, and it works
Mhm.
for karma, but I see it as it's really about being accountable in your life. Have you hurt people? Have you felt, do you feel guilty? Do you feel responsible? Do you feel shame from decisions that you might have made at a younger age? Well, do the Ho'opono with that person. Doesn't have to be in person. You can write about it. You can write it as if you were saying it to them. If you're very visual, visualize yourself saying to them. It frees you up so that you're not carrying that burden. And if it's a very deep hurt that you go, like you can't really forgive yourself, do it several times. Do it as often as it pops up into your head so that each time you're letting go more and more and more.
Absolutely, I completely agree to that. Now, you've guided people through multidimensional healing for decades. So, can you share what happens when someone resists or doesn't fully understand what's being revealed to them?
Yeah, so they're there with me. It's not a separate, we're co-creating. I get information visually, kinesthetically, auditorily, and as I'm explaining to them, because on some level they know it, on some level they resonate with it, that they're there with me. And we are working towards healing that in some way. And that's the multidimensional place. That's a timeline. Could be genetics. How do you heal? Do you need to talk to that person who you were back then? Do you need to address a past life or as a a grandmother, grandfather? Um, because we've opened the portal, we're in it, we're co-creating, we're moving through it, we're healing it, we're coming back to this timeline and saying what more needs to be done now, and do you understand it? And I would say 99.9% of people do get it. They resonate with it, even if they don't, because they get recordings, right? So even if they don't totally grok it on the mental level, their body feels it. Like I get that. I relate to it. I don't quite wrap my head around it yet, but they can listen to the recording or they can, they'll sit with it. I'll tell people if it's a really deep session, take the next, 15 minutes to a half hour and just be with yourself. Don't think, just allow it to sit there, because something's happening. We're moving energy and we are energy. So, when it moves, it moves.
What you said, that's really a key insight. It's like true healing happens when we embody the energy, not just witness it, no?
Yeah, they embody it. Embodying is a big word. this year, actually. And not to get off subject, but um, one of the embodying is bringing in the sacred this year. And it's the combination of the sacred feminine and the masculine because we really divided them. We made them separate, gender specific, as opposed to it's really a unified aspects of both the masculine and the feminine that are together. And there's more embodying of that this year than I've seen in a very long time. There's a lot of subject around the divinity and sacredness and bringing it into the physical form. And then what are you going to do with it? It's not just you owning it. What do when you embrace it, when you embody it, when you become more of all the aspects that that holds, which is all positive, right? When you hold all that, what are you going to do with it? You're going to offer it to your family. You're going to be different in your family or to your loved ones or to your partner or at work, like, or are you going to take it out into the public? Like, what are you going to do in a very humble, non-egoic way? What are you going to do with that sacredness that you now have chosen to embody?
Yeah, obviously, that's gonna, come out to the family, your close ones, friends.
Yeah, because when you change, when you've done your deep work in whatever way you've chosen to do that, sometimes people can have an epiphany in a dream, and it changes them, or their death experience, or maybe they're in therapy and they've dove really deep into something, or, it can come in so many different ways. But when you change because of something that grabs you, whatever that is, it ripples. So you change, then people around you are not held in the same way that you might have held before. You might see them different. And if you see them different, then they will see themselves different.
Then now you're also a medium and an artist, right? So have you like ever received a message from the unseen that came through your art?
I'm the kind that needs to be inspired. I can't sit in front of a canvas and create from there. It usually comes in at night, right? It'll come in at night, it'll come in at early morning, that it'll be like, oh, here's either a being that needs to be drawn or painted, or here is something that's significant that, like I painted Isis and Horus and her breathing the breath of life into him because it had meaning in that moment of wherever that went. So it comes into me through an inspiration or a request from the spiritual level of what needs to be painted.
Oh, I love that you bring beauty into healing, like sometimes color, texture, or movement sees what words never can.
Yeah, the color is really important to me. Um,
Mhm.
it's something that I really like. That's a love that I have, is for color. And so anything on the canvas, the contrast and the depth and the texture and all of that is part of my process too. It gets me involved in a different way as opposed to being visual in the third eye or what comes to me kinesthetically. It gets it out in a very different way. And I would encourage people that we're a lot of times blocked in our creativity, and we're told that it's not going to amount to much, you're not going to make any money with it, it's not good enough at a young age. And creativity is really what makes us human, and it blocks our co-creativity if we don't think that we're creative. So start working with your hands, or you don't have to be an artist. Do anything that gardening, do anything that starts to be creative. It's putting you outside of you to let you see things. It doesn't have to be that somebody else has to see it. You can journal and it's only yours, but it's a creative expression.
Yes, absolutely. That's thought provoking, darling. Now, for listeners who feel like they're living out of alignment, stuck in a repeating pattern or, disconnected from their higher self. What's your message for someone afraid to, explore the deeper dimensions of the soul?
Well, the fear of exploration means you denied your curiosity. So that's a big one for multidimensional beings and places to tap into is being curious. Because if you're curious, doors will open. If you're curious about, oh, I wonder what happened to me at age 5 or 3, or what was my childhood about that I could revisit, you know, or or what would it be like to be this or that? We lose that and in childhood a lot of times because we're programmed to now you have to go to work and now you have to listen to what school teachers say and now you can't be you because whatever, right? You're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that, and we get programmed that way. But our curiosity and our creativity takes us out of that program.
Yes, and that invitation is to explore is so important, like especially in a world that often asks us to stay surface level.
Yeah, I think it's vital to our survival as humanity is to become, I mean, even the timeline that we're in right now, where everything is being revealed or disclosed or shut down, or, things that don't work anymore for us in our institutions are being revealed, globally. It's not just in the United States. So we need creative, curious people that say, okay, well, here's something that doesn't work, and we're not going to keep doing that over and over again, hoping that it does work. What can we create for who we are now to bring something else forward that does work for us?
Darlene, thank you for opening portals of perception tonight and reminding us that healing is multidimensional, timeless, and always available. And to all our listeners, if your soul is whispering, listen. You are the architect of your own.